Boom! So, you want to make a homebrew D&D campaign using AI and you don't know how, or you've heard that you shouldn't be using AI for D&D at all. I know people like Jacob from XP to level 3 straight up says AI has no place in the D&D space. People like Duke from One Shot Questless has read D&D horror stories about DMs using AI for everything in their campaigns, and it turns out to be a trash time for the players. And to be honest, in most cases, you shouldn't depend on AI for everything in your creation process. However, there is a way of using it effectively, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So, let's dive in.
So firstly, you need to come up with an idea. No, you shouldn't be using AI for this. It can be around anything. You can use live or other shows or even other D&D campaigns for a spark of an idea, but you need to have one to give the AI something to work with. Currently, I'm working on a campaign and I got the idea simply from a few images I found while scrolling online. I found this image online from Reddit, I think, of the legendary Pokemon from Pokemon Sword and Shield reimagined as weapons, and thought that they would be really cool as D&D items. Then I found this image from somewhere of a crystal-like looking warrior and thought that tied in with the items could make a full set, weapons and armor. And this got my creative juices flowing and led me to want to create a campaign revolving around this warrior. But one warrior can't exist in a vacuum. You need more than one player for a campaign. At least usually you do. So then I stumbled upon this image of the Pokemon Mega Rayquaza as a Kamen Rider. If you don't know what Kamen Rider is, it's essentially the sister series to Super Sentai, and Super Sentai is Japanese Power Rangers. That's where Power Rangers comes from. It's the American version of Super Sentai. Anyway, so I found that, and then I coincidentally stumbled upon a D&D weapon of Mega Rayquaza. Just my luck. So of course I just completed the set, the weapon and the armor. That's 2 down. I need at least 1 more. So just searching through the internet again, I found an image of the Lion Warrior from Juken Sentai Geki Ranger, the Super Sentai version of Power Rangers Jungle Fury. I found that image and thought that would be perfect for my last warrior. All I needed was a weapon. I had already used Pokemon for the other weapons, so I just Google searched Pokemon as weapons and eventually found this image of a few examples. And since this warrior is the Lion Warrior, I went with the great sword made from the Pokemon Entei as his weapon. So boom! I had 3 warriors for my campaign. Now I needed a story. Originally, I came up with a story about an ice queen who was trying to take over the world, but it didn't feel right. It lacked what I needed. I eventually found an image of an avatar of Frost with the D&D stat block and thought that this could be the BBEG. I started coming up with a story, but there were too many loopholes and I was unsure of what to really make the story about. I've only DM'd for 2 campaigns before, and that was about 5 years ago, so I was struggling with coming up with a cohesive story. But that's where AI comes in to fill in the gaps. So this is what I did. I took my phone and started recording myself explaining a brief skeleton of what I wanted the story to be about. It was very rough around the edges, and at first I felt like nothing was going to come of it. But I went ahead, downloaded the recording to my laptop, and then Google searched convert audio to text and used the first link that came up. So now I had my skeleton story in text. Now here's the juicy part of this video. All I did was go to DeepSeek. We're specifically using DeepSeek because ChatGPT tends to be very generic. And I'm going to show you the prompt I used to create the background for the story that I made. And this is it. I'm trying to write a story for my Dungeons and Dragons game. I recorded some ideas and transcribed them into text. Read the text and creatively fill in the gaps to make the story interesting. And this is what I recorded. Welcome to the adventure of Everfrost Peak. This story begins a millennia ago when where the Avatar of Frost reigned supreme over the land atop the Everfrost mountain. His power spread far and wide throughout the land. A chilling storm brewed from the mountain and spread across the land. All adventurers who dared try to defeat him were killed by his army of ice elementals and water elementals and shadow wolves. It took a great alchemist, it took a great wizard, it took a great it took a great artificer who made 3 magical armor to bestow upon the 3 greatest fighters of the land. These magical armors were created around belts, and the armor comes from the belt. There was 1 armor of light from crystal, there was a crystal armor of light, a shadow lion armor, and a sky dragon armor. In order to defeat the Avatar of Frost, he would have to be sealed. The Avatar of Frost is a naturally occurring entity of nature that was summoned to this realm by one of the gods of creation after humanity had made a very fatal error in the eyes of that god. He cursed humanity by sending forth this entity that is immortal and reincarnates upon being defeated. After defeating the Avatar of Frost, after 1 day his body will reform. But after many years of torment, humanity has found a way to survive. Humanity found a way to seed him for 1,000 years so that he wouldn't return. And so 3 great fighters were found. 3 great fighters were found and given the 3 armors and weapons and special weapons that were made to defeat the Avatar of Frost. And so they went up to the top of the mountain where the Avatar of Frost resides, and they defeated him. As they took on his army, they defeated him. They returned to the base of the mountain, gave one of their belts to each of the cities where an incantation was laid on each belt that cast a seal around the mountain, forcing the Avatar of Frost to reincarnate every 1,000 years. 1,000 years has passed. Generations after generation has passed. While the whip, generation after generation has passed. The fighters that were the original fighters that went up to destroy their families are the ones that carry down the weapons from. Their weapons are passed down from generation to generation throughout their family, and their children are trained as warriors to always be able to come, to be able to challenge, be able to face the Avatar of Frost. This is complicated. To always be able to face the Avatar of Frost. So generation after generation has passed. 1,000 years passed. 1,000 years passed. Again 1,000 years passed. Again it is now generations. It's now the year. About 1,000 years has passed, and it is, and you are now the member of the family, and you are now in the generation to take on the road to face the Avatar of Frost. So you settle from the village where the warriors reside up to the 2 cities, up to the mountain, so that you can, That is the text version of what I recorded. As you can see, many backtracks and errors and trying to come up with the idea on the spot. So I just let DeepSeek handle the rest, and this is what it gave me. The Legend of the Frostfall and the 3 Guardians. A millennia ago, the Frostfall. The world knew peace until the day humanity, in its hubris, attempted to steal the divine spark of creation itself. Their great fourth city, Aethelberg, sought to build a god of their own design. The true gods, enraged by this transgression, delivered their judgment. The god of primordial storms, Kaldrax, unleashed a piece of his own essence upon the world, Voroth, the Avatar of Frost. Voroth descended upon the highest peak, which men now call Everfrost Peak. His mere presence twisted the mountain into a nexus of absolute cold. A perpetual soul-chilling storm, the Everfrost, began to brew, spilling inexorably down the slopes to consume the land below. Rivers froze in an instant. Forests became jagged sculptures of ice, and hope itself seemed to crystallize and shatter. Armies fell. Heroes were broken. Voroth, an immortal entity of nature, could not be truly slain. Those who miraculously reached his citadel were met by his relentless guardians, silent shattering ice elementals, treacherous fluid water elementals, and the packs of phantom-like shadow wolves that hunted through the blizzards. The age of desperation and the artificer's gambit. As civilization teetered on the brink of extinction, a trio of genius arose not from the ranks of warriors, but from the scholars and smiths. The greatest of them was Elara, the artificer, who understood that Voroth could not be killed, only contained. She devised a plan not of destruction, but of sealing. In a forge heated by captured sunlight and cooled by astral dew, she crafted 3 magnificent arcane belts. These were not mere armor. They were conduits of primordial power, designed to counter the elemental and shadowy nature of Voroth's forces. The Sunstone Girdle, forged around a core of crystallized dawn, this belt summons the crystal armor of light. It burns with the radiance of a summer noon, a bane to shadows and unnatural cold. The Umbral Lion's clasp, wrought from obsidian and the mane of a spectral lion, this belt calls forth the Shadow Lion armor. It allows its wearer to move like a phantom, striking from darkness and resisting the chilling touch of the elemental minions. The Zephyr Dragon Scale, fashioned from the last scale of a slain cloud dragon and tempered in hurricane winds, this belt manifests the Sky Dragon armor. It grants the agility of the wind and the thunderous power of the storm, enabling its wearer to dominate the aerial battlefield around the peak. The First Seal and the Legacy. 3 legendary champions were chosen and bestowed with the belts and weapons specially crafted to synergize with their power. Their names are lost to time, known only as the First Wardens. They fought their way through the glacial armies, a brilliant beacon of light, a fleeting shadow, and a thunderous gale against the endless white. At the summit, they did not slay Voroth, they shattered his physical form. As he began his inevitable reincarnation, Elara's final ritual was activated. The 3 wardens used the power of their belts to cast a mighty seal, binding Voroth's spirit to the peak and slowing his return to a 1,000-year cycle. Exhausted and victorious, they descended. To maintain the seal, each warden entrusted their belt to one of the 3 great cities built at the mountain's base, creating a triangular prison of magic. The weapons, however, they kept. They swore a blood oath. Their lineages would forever bear the duty of vigilance. Their children and their children's children would be raised as warriors, inheriting the legendary weapons and the sacred knowledge. They would be the Frost Wardens, the one hope of each generation when the seal finally weakened. The present day, 1,000 years have passed. The seal has held for a millennium. The stories of the Frostfall have faded into myth, and the Warden's sacrifice into legend. The modern descendants live in a quiet village nestled in the foothills, training from birth with their ancestral weapons, waiting for a day many began to doubt would ever come. But now the signs are undeniable. The Everfrost storm is expanding faster. The days grow colder. Shadow wolves have been spotted far from the mountain. The ice on the peak groans with a newfound energy. You are the latest generation of these bloodlines. You have trained your whole lives for this moment, but the world has changed. The 3 cities that hold the belts have grown distant and suspicious. Some may believe the legend is a fairy tale. Others might see the powerful magic of the belts as a tool for their own gain, not for the world's salvation. The weapons you inherited from your parents feel lighter in your hands now, humming with a purpose they have not known for 1,000 years. Your quest is clear, but the path is not. Journey to the 3 cities. You must retrieve the 3 arcane bells from the settlements that have guarded them for a millennium. This will not be a simple request. You will need to prove your lineage, complete tasks, or perhaps even deal with rulers who refuse to give up their ancient treasures. Ascend Everfrost Peak. Fight your way through the reawakening army of elementals and shadow wolves. Face Voroth. confront the newly reformed avatar of Frost before his power becomes absolute and the world is locked in an eternal winter. The legacy of the first wardens rests on your shoulders. The adventure begins now. And then it went on to give me DM notes and adventure hooks, which is really cool. The cities give each city a distinct personality. The City of Light holds the Sunstone Girl, a theocracy that venerates the belt as a holy relic. They may see the players as unworthy outsiders trying to steal their god's power. The City of Shadows holds the Umbra Lion's clasp, a city of thieves and spies where the belt has been lost or is held by a cunning crime lord who uses its power. The City of Sky holds the Zephyr Dragon Scale, a city of arrogant dragon-blooded sorcerers who believe they should be the ones to wield the belt and claim the glory. The families. Define the player characters' families. Do they get along? Is there a rivalry? Is one family line extinct, meaning a PC must prove themselves worthy of a build that wasn't built for them? The twist. What if the fatal error of humanity was misunderstood? What if they were trying to create a weapon to fight a different greater evil and Voroth was sent to stop them? This could create a fascinating moral dilemma for the players. That is what AI can do to help your stories. Like I said, you need to have an idea. That's the hardest part. But I've shown you how you can get inspiration just from some Google searches and images and using your imagination to come up with a baseline for characters, weapons, and armor. Just let AI do the rest. So yeah, that's the campaign I'm working on. It's called Everfrost Peak. It's not done yet. I'm still putting in work on it, but I'll post more videos about the process and the other help that DeepSeek was able to give me in creating this campaign. So look out for my next video. Until then, may all your rolls be a natural 20. Boom!